1,000 times again, and we'll rise up. I like the waves. We'll rise up in spite of the ache. We'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
I just was grooving
Oh, she can sing. Yay!
behind the scenes.
Hi,
Hey!
everybody. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting to see all these wonderful humans in this room with us. I can't.
Hi,
Deidre, you go.
y'all. No, I'm so excited. I mean, listening to the music, I was getting in the mood, getting hyped and listening to what Andra Day was singing. It really leads as a great segue into, the beginning of Next Stage and the beginning of our conversation series that we're starting today with Jay O'Leary. So I'm so grateful for you all being here. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome to Next Stage, everybody. We are here and we are grateful. This is our first episode, and so we wanted to introduce ourselves so you can get familiar with our friendly faces. My name is Jess Spencer. My pronouns are she, her. I am one of the co-curators and producers of Next Stage.
And I'm Deidre Woods, also one of the co-curators and producers of Next Stage. I'm so excited to be here. Actor, multi-hyphenate. I'm learning to like lean into that multi-hyphenate situation.
Own it.
But I'm just grateful. I'm here.
Grateful. We are here. So to remind everybody, we are here. Next Stage is designed to illuminate, support, and encourage the crazy artistic experience that we all go through. And I think that is a great reminder for the spirit of the community and the room and the space that we'll be sharing tonight. I also would love to pass it to Deidre for her wisdom, because the other day she dropped some beautiful wisdom in front of me, and I was like, that is what Next Stage is. What did you say, Deidre?
So at the core of why we're doing this, it is ask the question, can we feed an artist's soul rather than asking them for more?
So that's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
We want to learn, how can we feed your soul rather than asking you for more? And that's our goal tonight. And we want to hear from you. We are so lucky to have as our first guest instructor, Miss Jay O'Leary Woods. Woo, woo, woo.
Woo!
Who's the
Welcome.
bomb? Jay. Yes. Welcome, welcome. I have already dropped the ball, and I just want to remind everybody that we are recording this session. I've already dropped the ball. I knew I was going to do this. We're recording this session.
You didn't drop it. You didn't drop it.
It's great.
No.
First 45 minutes, y'all, we're going to be recording it so that those who are going to join us later can go ahead and review it. But what is beautiful about today is that means that Q&A, chat, all those things will be recorded, just as a reminder. Then the last 15 minutes, that is not recorded. That way, if there's something you want to ask that you don't feel comfortable having recorded, there is an opportunity for that as well. But once again, Jay O'Leary Woods is here in the house, and I'm so grateful. Jay, can you share a little bit about yourself with us?
I sure can. Hey, y'all, and thank you, Deidre and Jess, for having me. It's very exciting. They came to me with this, and I think it's such a wonderful idea, such a wonderful offering for the community, and I'm glad to be in space with you all. As they said, my name is Jay O'Leary Woods. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am a director, educator, performer, facilitator, multi-hyphenate fellow. Lean into that. That's right, Deidre, lean into that. That is correct. But my primary disciplines are being a director and an educator. I'm also one of the co-artistic directors of Sound Theater Company. I'm originally from New York, and I've been in Seattle for about 5 years and have built quite a lovely community of family members and fellow artists here. And that really sits with me in a way that I'm still here after 5 years. So I know that some of you who I know, let me look through these attendees. Ooh, hey, we got some homies in the house. And we have some folks who I don't know yet, but I'm sure I might come to know soon. So I'm so glad that you all are here with us this evening.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Deidre, do you want to share a little bit about our outline tonight and how it's going to
Sure.
flow?
So tonight we're going to start by letting Jay bless us with some experience and some knowledge that will help us as we start this conversation of how our health really is our wealth, taking care of ourselves as an artist and agency and your voice and the power we have in that we a lot of times deny when we walk in these rooms. We feel shrunken. And so Jay will really speak with us today about how we let go of that and move forward. And then after that, maybe about 15, 20 minutes, Jay's going to talk. Then we'll have an opportunity to take questions. So you can use the Q&A function to ask a question, or you can do it in the chat, either way. So after that, it'll be very interactive. You'll get to ask your questions. And again, as Jessica said, if there's something that you don't want to ask on Zoom camera, you can hold it off to the end and we will do a Q&A proper after that. And then I'm going to dance out, at the end.
Because we got to dance. Dance. Amazing. Well, with that, Ms. J, we will pass the baton to you. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay. Hey, y'all. It's a little odd that I can't see everybody. Sometimes that trips me out, this digital space stuff. And I'm sure I'm not alone there. I know we have some educators and directors and all kinds of folks on here. So bear with me as I speak to a green dot. Go ahead and grab something to write with, a notebook. If you want to go run and get some tea, hurry up and go do that. I'll give you like 60 seconds right now in case we have some latecomers to go ahead and do that. Notebook, pen, and it should be fun, right? Grab a gel pen, a marker, something, and come back in about 30, 60 seconds. And otherwise, I'll just say for folks to consider the last 5 decisions that you made. How many of those decisions were made with your own approval? How many of those decisions were made with your own approval? And just think about that for a moment. Decisions that were made that wasn't centralizing anyone else's wants, needs, desires, comforts, except for your own. Your last few decisions, were they made with you in mind, your own approval, and not the approval of others? The answer can be, I don't know. The answer can be, oh, I'm seeing in this question. Okay, so mind when I'm trying to follow the chat, if I start to pause, I'm following the chat, y'all. Yes, so for those who are parents, that's not what I mean. That's a great question, Monique. Monique said, I have a 3-year-old. I'm not sure what this question is. I mean, decisions that are made for, that are your own decisions, that if you're gonna go to an audition, not something that is centralizing family. I don't mean like not taking care of your kids or a loved one or a friend who might be sick. I don't mean, do you go help a friend who is sick or do you not? I don't mean that kind of decision making. I mean decisions, perhaps I should reframe, decisions in life. The last few bigger decisions that you've made, have you dealt with saying, oh, let me ask my friend, right? Let me ask my friend what they think I should do. Let me ask my niece, let me ask my auntie, let me ask my mentor what they think I should do. And what is the reason that you asked them that question? We'll get to that in a second. Okay, so where I'm navigating to, oh, I'm seeing Rebecca's in the chat. Yes, trusting yourself sounds suspicious. Thanks for the needed reflection. Yes, that's what I'm getting at. I'm not meaning not considering in our adult lives the needs of immediate family members and friends, right? I'm meaning decisions where you are doubting yourself. That's what I'm meaning. So I might call a friend and say, oh, this audition came up. I don't know if I should do it. What do you think? Right? Oh, there's this opportunity. I don't know if I should do it. What do you think? And whenever we ask those questions, I'm asking us to interrogate why we choose so often to sit in the space where others can potentially make decisions for us or have greater influence than what we need to actually have for ourselves. Oftentimes, more often than not, I would argue that we actually know the decision and we just need, right? We need that permission. That's not necessarily a new thought, but follow me here. It is so important for us to begin to trust our own voice. And that rather than reaching for our phone or an email, our friend to say, hey, what do you think of this? Why can't we turn that into, I'm going to do this thing. I wanted you to know about it to celebrate with me. Or I'm going to do this and this is what I think about it. And do you have any comments to offer? Being specific about what we're asking from others, not just, hey, can you feel my own self-doubt, right? Which is hard. Doubt and shame and access, varying levels of access to vulnerability. That can be daunting. It's daunting on a regular basis, especially for artists, especially for actors. Subjecting ourselves to the critique of others on a regular basis as a profession. It's like, who the heck signed us up for this? We did. So indeed, Rebecca, trusting yourself, right, is paramount, right? Is paramount to our success as humans. If we are constantly in what I like to call decision purgatory, decision limbo is that weird gray area where you're like on the precipice of making a decision, but instead of making that leap, you're looking up and back for any possible thing to help you make that leap when you actually have the power to make that leap yourself. You've had it the entire time. We are also aware that we have that power the entire time, but for some reason, staying in decision purgatory and waiting for somebody to let us off the hook and make that decision for us feels so much easier. But then what happens? What happens when we allow somebody else to decide for us? What happens when we allow somebody to speak up on our behalf? As though they could possibly know the deepest, most desires of our soul, of our body, our spirit. They don't. Only you know that. Only I can know that about me. There are people in my life who are very close to me, who maybe feel like they know 90% of what goes on in the inner world, spirit of Jay, right? Spirit of folks who are on this call, folks who will watch it later. There are people who could come close to knowing, and we consider them our very near, dear, found family, friends, right? But for some reason, we need to lean in to what others will permit us to do. And then we start to be in servitude of others all the time. The centralization of their comfort, of what they want to do, of what they want to see at all times. And then what happens to us when we do that? What happens to us when we do that? It drags us down. It drags us down. So how do you combat that? Yes, Jay, that's all fine and well. I hear you. Yes, I need to trust myself more. Yes, I need to stop living in the house of doubt. Yeah, I get it. So what are you getting at? Okay. I want you for the next few days to have your own voice be the leading voice. The voice that says, that's instinctual. I want to do this, or I think I need to do that, and go do that. I'm gonna challenge you. Go do those things that you want to do. Make that phone call. Tell your boss, right, that what they said the other day was highly disrespectful and it can't happen again. Tell them that, right? Don't call a friend and say, hey, Sally, this thing happened at work again. And then you expend 20, 30, 40 minutes, 60 minutes on that, on your boss or on a colleague or a bad audition. Right? Oh, I won't say anything. I won't ask any questions because I don't want to cause a problem. I don't want to cause a problem. And what problem are you going to cause? What problem? Standing up for yourself is a problem. Asking for what you need is a problem. Asking to not be disrespected is a problem. That's a problem for me. That's a problem for me because our voice is our power. Out of anything in the whole entire universe, our voice is our power. Our personal individual agency is our power. Nobody can take it away. Nobody. When you speak, you cause ripples of change. When you assert the things that you want, the things that you don't want, right? When you get specific about what you want, it's really hard for people to muddy those waters. When you get specific about what you want, when you get clear about what you want, it makes it very, very difficult for somebody to muddy those waters because you control them. You control them, period. There is not a tiny alien creature who sits on your shoulder and climbs into your ear and comes and sits right here and is just driving you around. If that's the case, please drop 911 in the chat. and we will get somebody to help you out with that little creature that's chilling in your frontal lobe, driving you around. If that's not the case, if you don't have a little creature telling you what to do all day, every day, and making decisions for you, then guess what? Congratulations. You're in the driver's seat. You're in the cockpit. It's up to you. Every time you go into an audition, you go into a casting room. So I'm speaking to my actors and my directors on here. Okay. You go into that casting room and somebody says something off the wall from behind the table, as they typically do. Should you be silent in that moment? No, because an audition is on both sides of the table. I'm gonna say that again. An audition is on both sides of the table. And if an audition is on both sides of the table and your voice is your power, and it's up to you to say, actually, that was wildly disrespectful, and I would like to unpack that for a moment before we go. I heard you say that you would like me to X, Y, and Z make a fool of myself just now in the name of your own foolery. Can you be blacker for us? Excuse me? Can you? Why don't you exemplify that for me? Oh, it doesn't work the other way around? When it came back to your ear, it sounded crazy? Right. Because it is crazy. So when you're in an audition room, and this is for anybody, this global majority members, global minority members, when you are in the position of an actor and something wild comes from behind that table, the audition is on both sides. You don't have to work with that director. You don't have to work with that theater company. You don't. You can ask them questions just as they ask us, because your voice is your power. That's your decision. Your decision, you get at what? An offer. Would you like to accept the role of blank? So you have the power to say what? No, you have the power to choose. You have the power to choose the entire time, all day, every day. You have the power to choose. Now, I know I might be sounding repetitive right now. I feel like the spirit's getting in me. But I want us to really understand and start exercising that we are our own best advocate. Yes, we have best friends. Yes, we have really lovely family members, be they blood or found family, who really support us and encourage us, and they're our cheerleaders. But we really have to learn that we always have a star player right in here, and it's you. You're the star player. Nobody in this world can do anything like Faith Russell can. Not like Faith. Maybe similar. Maybe there are folks who might be a little bit like Deidre, but they're not Deidre. Deidre is Deidre. And Deidre needs to understand that anytime she walks into space, she has full ownership of the space she takes up. And it's a lot of space. It's a lot of beautiful space that each of you take up, y'all. That's what we need to understand. There is nothing about, oh, I need to make myself smaller. Why? Why? Oh, when I come into this room, I don't want to be, too intrusive, and I don't want to ruffle any feathers. Why? Why, y'all? We don't have to be doing that. That's exhausting. That's exhausting. Unless someone's paying me, right? Unless they're cutting me a check, right? Okay? Unless they're cutting me a check to mind my business, right? That's what I have to really ask, right? Are you getting paid to mind my business? Because if you are, let me know. I want to check too. I'll start minding your business back. Is that person cutting 2 checks? Let's talk. Why are you in my business? Why are you asking me why I'm too loud, or why I'm too this, or your voice sounds funny, or why are you wearing that, or why did you choose to do that show, or why did you? If you don't go sit down and watch some Netflix, if you don't go sit down somewhere, because I'm not quite sure why you're so invested in what I'm doing, when you should go plop down in front of a mirror and ask yourself the same damn question. Don't come around me trying to tell me what I need to do. I'm not doing that to you. And so that's what I meant by the question at the start, which is a little awkward for me. I'm gonna be in a full transparency here. I'm in this like beige room and looking at this green dot, so I can't see folks, you know what I mean? So when I said the last few decisions that you made, did you make them 100% with your own vote of confidence, your own approval? This feels good to me. Whatever decision, this feels good to me. I didn't have to phone a friend, call my mama, etc. It feels good to me, so I made the decision. That's what I want us all. And when I say us, I mean me, because it's a daily effort. I can only speak from the I. It's a daily effort to make decisions based on your own approval. It's so important, because that decision purgatory has us in trouble. When we decide to sit there until somebody else gives us permission, until somebody else approves of our idea, when we sit in decision purgatory, that's when the elephant of depression and anxiety really sits in. And that's how we invited in. That's how I invited in. If I decide to sit my butt down and burrow in decision purgatory, I'll be like, no, I'm not, I haven't made the decision yet. No, I'm gonna call my friend and talk to them for another 2.5 hours about this decision that I already talked to them about yesterday. And that's what I'm gonna do. And then I do this, and then I'm like, nope, I'm disappearing, goodbye. That can make us and will make us sick. Because guess what? Here's the thing. We actually always know what we want, period. I would argue that. I would argue that anytime somebody says something simple, even, hey, what do you want to eat? The first thing in your head, you said, I want Chinese food. And then what came out of your mouth was, I don't know, because you're centralizing the other person's comfort. Now that might be a little reductive, a little simplistic, but it's kind of what I'm getting at. Somebody could say, hey, Rebecca, would you like pizza or Thai food? And you say, I don't know, I am hungry. What do you want? Well, in the process of you saying, I'm kind of hungry, what do you want? In your head, you said, I don't want either of those things. I'd actually like Indian food, 5-star spice. I'd like to sweat. And instead, you let that person say, well, I've really been craving pizza. And then you go, great, me too. No, you weren't. You just in your head, boom, off jump, said, I would like Indian food. I would like to sweat. And then you allowed that decision to get made about pizza. Again, that's a simplistic example, but as you have a habit of doing that, of centralizing others' wants and desires and never offering your own up for consideration, that sort of habit forms into larger things. It careens into bigger problems, into a deeper seated decision purgatory. And it can feel like you can't get the hell out. So I invite you in regular practice to really interrogate, right? Slowly but surely, interrogate the moments that you decide to centralize everybody else but you. And these are small moments, that's okay. But see if you can keep a little journal and just see how often you do that. And on a measurable way, right? A measurable path, see if you can do it one time less in a week span, right? The next week, try to do that 2 fewer times, so on and so forth. Something that is tangible, not I'm gonna stop doing that. Good luck. I haven't figured that one out. To quit cold turkey, I haven't figured that one out. It's a daily effort. And so I'm not asking you to aspire to some kind of perfect way of always centralizing you, but I am asking us, at least I ask of myself, I'm not gonna ask anything of you that I'm not asking of myself, is to just be mindful, to kind of become awake, right? To the fact that we do this as a habit, and we do this in the rehearsal room. So I know I'm speaking directly to theater artists, or at least most of you, I'm sure if you're on this call, you're probably a theater artist. And so we do that. We do that in the rehearsal room. We do that in design meetings. We do that in administrative offices. We do so many of these things, and then what happens? Now we're centralizing our own abuse, and then also simultaneously perhaps perpetuating other systems of abuse that just exist in the American theater industrial complex, right? But if we all started to just a little bit, day to day, just a little, started to really say, this is what I want, this is what I need, please give it to me. Immediately, the second that want happens, the second that impulse happens, you need to make a decision, you need to talk to somebody, you need to demand that respect be present in the room, you need to demand that actually you need a break. You need to ask for what you need, because what starts to happen is, well, but what does the other actor in the scene need? Oh, well, what does the director need? Will they get mad if I ask for a break? I know that we need to get to the end of this scene, so I don't know if I want to stop the rehearsal because I might become the problem here. We have to stop centralizing product over personhood. We have to stop centralizing the perfect goal over our own human needs and well-being. Leaning into the fact that our voice is our power and it's ours and ours alone. Lots of folks similar to your pal Jay. Lots of folks. There's 7 billion people in the world. There's lots of folks similar to your pal Jay, and there's lots of folks who will leave your pal Jay in the dust. Okay, Jay who? All right, lots of lit folks in the world, right? But still, there's only one Jay. There's only one Angelica, right? And so Angelica has to speak for Angelica. If Angelica in rehearsal needs to go to the bathroom, go to the damn bathroom. Don't wait until, you know what I mean? That's also a simple example, but I'm trying to tell you that when you make a habit of these tiny things, it becomes ingrained and it follows you. It seeps into bigger, more impactful, consequential decision making. And we just have to increase that awareness so we can start to combat that. We can start to combat the pull of decision purgatory and of wanting to get, right? We start doing this. Can I get from the outside? Can I get from the outside the way to make these decisions to help me? Actually, it comes from right here. You wake up with it right here. It's right in your chest. It's in when you perspire. It's in when your heart starts to beat faster. It's in your adrenal glands. It's in your spirit. Let me check the chat. Ooh, yes, conditioned to be accommodating, precisely. Okay, let me see here. Let me go back here. Yeah, I have been speaking for a while. Deidre, Jess. I'm like, this is not just my thing. This is Deidre and Jess.
We'll come back.
Look,
I
love it.
I have my notebook. I was writing down all of the things.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
I just want to say amen to all of that because I am so excited for what this would mean. I would be so excited. I'd be so just joyful to see what getting out of this purgatory would mean, right? What would be possible? And you said,
How rooms will shift and
yes.
power dynamics will change by centering yourself and your voice.
And I just want to like name it for me. When you say the others, why do you let the others hold you hostage, right? To me, that others is the industry standard that is set by predominantly white institutions, specifically focused and centered on a coast we don't even live on, saying success equals Broadway, right? But what I love is by asking for what you want, being specific and clear, you also get to reclaim and decide what success means to you. And you take that power away from that entity that has been telling us just be grateful to be here.
We begin to
Precisely.
walk into
Mhm.
by channeling and channeling these ideals, we release that scarcity mindset that we have been conditioned to believe is reality. Oh, you can only make this much money. Don't ever ask if there's more money. You know, you just be happy to get the job because if you say something, you might lose it. Like
Mm.
letting that go and using this to move into a mindset of abundance. We have a couple of questions
Yes.
that were asked. And so I'll ask the question, how do you allow yourself to prioritize yourself without feeling guilty?
How do you allow yourself to prioritize yourself without feeling guilty? Mm. I would ask, where is the guilt coming from? That's what I would first inspect. And I would say, who is telling you? Guilt so often comes from because, oh, this person may not like this, or this person may not approve of what I'm doing. I feel guilty if I go do X and X. So I'd actually interrogate which voices are speaking to you in a manner that would have you feel guilty for prioritizing yourself, and have a conversation with them about that. Transparent conversation. You get clear about what you want, about what you need. It gets very hard for people to break into that. It gets very hard for people to muddy those waters when you are very grounded and clear about what you need, what you want. If you can get there, then you can open a conversation. I could say, hey, Deidre, you know, the other day when you said X and Y, it made me feel a certain way. And I would love if we could talk about that today or in the next couple of days when you're in a headspace to speak about it. I would love if we could break that down because it didn't sit well with me. So it also is about, that's how we can be our own best advocate in those situations. If I'm feeling guilty or I have an icky feeling and it has to deal with someone or a couple of people, I can't stew about that. I don't know if whoever asked this question, feel free to be in the chat if I'm hitting on this, because I know I'm prone to a tangent. And so I can't stew on that, right? Because if I stew on that, then I really get buried deeper into decision purgatory. Then I really get buried deeper into like very far away from sitting in the driver's seat, right? Very far away from being the captain of my own ship. If I do that, if I let that stew and I don't address it and I don't ask that person for what I need, or say, hey, I've been feeling guilty about such and such, and I think it's because we need to talk about something, and just open that conversation. And that conversation doesn't have to be scary. That's the thing. Conflict is just an opportunity to gain clarity. Conflict is just an opportunity for folks to listen a little deeper. It's an offering to listen a little deeper to the other person, and for us to be heard deeper, right? So saying things like, I heard you say, and repeating it, saying things like, I'm trying to understand your point about blank. Do I have that right? Am I getting that right? And so when you start to use phrases like that, which aren't new phrases, those are phrases that we've heard, but they also work for our intimate relationships, not just like in a meeting while we're trying to be professional. They also just work among friends, among partners, family members, because those are the conflict doesn't have to be a blowout, drag out, some kind of screaming match. That's what white supremacy likes to say conflict is. And so then everybody wants to be silent, and they say, oh, I don't want to ruffle any feathers, so I'm going to just. But then you go home and your feathers are ruffled.
Yeah.
So who's ironing those feathers out? Let me stop. Okay.
I will say, I was going to just add on to that, Jay, about feeling guilty about prioritizing yourself is a product of cultural conditioning. Because so often we are taught that by making these decisions to center yourself, you have to put others first. You know, they teach kids this. I mean, it's a learned behavior. And now we have to unlearn that in order to get to the core of who we really are.
I think so often, I know this is a thing that I have to combat within my own raising and nurturing, is this thought that I have been conditioned with, that if I don't center others' needs, then I am not doing my job, right? To serve and be empathetic. Well, empathy doesn't mean I have to sacrifice my needs, or I have to work for less than, or I don't get to make more than my colleagues, right? Like, that's not what empathy means. Empathy means, and you can only be useful to those around you if you also value yourself and know what you need in order to survive and thrive. I feel like that has been my big lesson that I've been really, and again, what you said, this is a practice. This is a habit you have to build. I've learned that, like, I have to stack up my value first before I can actually be serviceable to other people. And also knowing that what you're talking about with this decision purgatory, if I am allowing other people, especially within the industry, right? If I'm allowing other people to control how I move through the world, how can I help support other people moving through the world? I'm worthless. I'm worthless. And so you have to find your own value. You have to find your own value in order to make all this stuff happen. We had another question in the chat earlier, Jay, and maybe we'll do this one last question, then we can go ahead and turn off the recording. But it was, what do you mean by the word centralization? Can you talk about that term?
Centralization to mean who and what are you prioritizing? So for example, theater as a whole entity has centralized the global minority and spread it like wildfire across most of its programs and most of its everything, leadership, all the way down. So that's one example. When I'm using centralizing, is I'm asking us to investigate, what are we centralizing on a daily basis? Is it the opinions and permissions of others at all times? Or is it our own permission, right? Our own permission and our own desires. What is being centralized? And so I would argue that when we centralize our own health and wellness and needs and values and what we believe in, when we centralize that at all times, we make better decisions. Then we can make a decision. We can choose to deliberately centralize somebody else. If we've spent a lot of the time making a habit of centralizing our own worth, our own well-being, then it's like no problem to say, oh, my friend needs blank. I'm absolutely equipped to handle that because I've been in service of me on a continual basis. It's no problem to say, oh, Jess needed me to go help her with something at her house. Great, I can do that because I've taken care of me, right? I've taken care of me. I've centralized me, and it allows me to be in service of community. That's what I have to do as Jay. I'm in service of many different communities and many different entities, not just in this country. So I'm like, I gotta be in service of Jay first at all times so that I can have bountiful, right? Bountiful ability to centralize the needs of my various communities.
I have one other question for you, Jay, that I would love to do before we stop the recording. I often am working with actors and working with them to accept contracts, negotiate, all of those things. I am the delightful middleman, right? What I often see from actors, and I just want to be like, more, is they are paralyzed by the need to present gratitude, right? Rather than truly present me with their needs. And I understand it's a horrible spot to be in. So you're making the call, you're calling casting director, producer, whoever made you the offer. And you know you can't do a job for less than X. How do you start that conversation without prioritizing making them comfortable, but also being a good business person, right? This is what people keep saying to me. They're like, how do I do both? And I'm like, well, I have my opinions. What is your opinion? How do you navigate that process?
I heard you say that if, let's call it Llama Theater. It's a really big theater. It's like $75 million plus operational budget. They do all of the things, right? Llama Theater calls Deidre, says, Deidre, I got an offer for you. And Deidre says, Deidre's inner voice is like, that rate is hysterical. I know how much money y'all got. So what do I do here? And Deidre has two options. She can say, oh, I'm so grateful. And this is so wonderful and amazing. And I'm so very thankful for this opportunity. And I can't wait. I'm going to just come into that room and absolutely like destroy myself because I'm going to have to come rehearse for this show that isn't going to pay me any money. And it's going to require me to drive here, take the bus there, do whatever it is, be away from my family, be away from whatever else it is that I'm doing besides just this show. And I'm going to come in there and am I going to be able to deliver 100% Deidre or some scrap of Deidre? That's what I have to ask. When I consider that, I have to say, okay, well, if they want the artist called Jay, then we have to talk about how they can have the artist called Jay 100%. And I have to know what are my requirements that are going to make me feel healthy. And sometimes it isn't about money. Sometimes it isn't about the monetary currency. It can pop up in other ways. What is your rehearsal room like? We as actors, as directors, designers, right? Folks who are going to get contracted by a theater, we have every ability and right to ask about the working conditions, to ask, is there a bus pass, right? Is there ask for what you need, because if they would like 100% of B. Russell, the only way you're going to get 100% of B. Russell is for these list of things. And I don't think it's a bad thing at all to say, oh, hey, Jess, Thank you so much for this offer. I really had a great time auditioning. Yes. No, I really loved the show and thought the director was really cool. It was really nice to meet them. I did have a couple of questions though, in terms of my own access needs for this production, for this rehearsal. I really need X, Y, and Z. And I'm also wondering, I heard that the price for a non-equity contract is, $500 a week. I'm wondering if there's any possibility, because and not because, just is there any possibility that it might be more kind of commensurate with what the equity contract is, per my experience on my resume? I'm just wondering, is that something that the theater could consider? I'm happy to wait a couple of days while you figure that out, and I so look forward to hearing your response. Thank you so much, Jess. And if they say no, then know that they didn't want you that badly.
Mm-hmm.
And two, is that a company worth working for?
And that's the value.
Value. Right. When you talk about monetary currency versus spiritual currency. Okay, that's what I like to talk about a lot. Monetary currency versus spiritual currency. Which one would you rather be in debt in terms of that show? If the answer is, right, like you got to think about spiritual currency versus monetary currency. You got to talk about what's in service of you. What's the nourishment for your soul, for your mind, for your spirit, for you as a human being to be able to walk into that room and deliver 110% of Sky Stevenson, of Bobby Catula. This is walking into any audition, any interview, any new job, right? Any organization, theater admin, whoever, right? A theater artist, a theater maker. You have to ask yourself that, and you have to be in constant conversation with those who make decisions about how you're going to be able to best be in the room, right? People who are in positions of leadership at their best should be master weavers of the brilliance in the room. Yes. And if they've gutted the spiritual currency of that room, there ain't no brilliance to weave. Mm-mm. Okay, I'm gonna say that again. Leadership at their best should be master weavers of the brilliance in the room. And if they gut the spiritual currency in that room, there won't be any brilliance to be had. Does that answer your question?
In every way, with everything that I would have wanted. Thank you. Yes. There is so much. I don't know if this is the wrong way to phrase this, so you can do a better job, but I feel like there's so much room to share this power, right? Like the power doesn't have to belong to someone else. And that is what I'm hearing you say. That's how I feel about this, is like, I have value. The power can be mine to control what I say yes to. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I also feel like if you decide to take a job where you asked for something and they just said no, you're going to be fighting the entire process. You're going to be fighting the whole time. And if it's a small company and you ask for money and they don't have it, and if they want you, they will offer you something else. Mm-hmm. It might not be monetary, as Jay said, but they will offer you something else to show that they want you to be a part of this process.
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
Yeah.
All right.
I told this to, this is out. Well, I don't care because this needs to be normalized. I told this to my therapist once. I said for 2020 that these lessons we're learning, this time we have, I'm really glad I'm learning this at 34. So maybe my daughter can learn it 27.
Yes. Yes. We have to believe enough in ourselves to trust that even at our lowest, it's not an ending point. There's always more to be had. And from these ashes this ash of a, for lack of a better word, shit show theater system that we have like operated in as if it's like the best thing in the world, from those ashes, we will build something anew if we want to. So, you know, we all have to trust that it's possible. And
Ah,
this the
I love this.
this
We did not stop the recording to do
I know.
so let's go ahead. Thank you everybody who's watching at home. Jay, you're amazing. Can we have you for another 10 minutes to do
yeah.
any more Okay, great. So thank you everybody who's watching from home. This hopefully has touched your hearts and reminded you that you have the power to keep going and to make this happen. So thank you, Miss J.
Yes.
Thank you.